video will demonstrate how to get started with ArcGIS Pro for oil and gas, including adding data from the Oil and Gas Authority Open Data Site, the Living Atlas, changing some symbology, and then sharing the maps as web maps and apps. So to get a free 21-day trial of ArcGIS Pro, you can visit the ArcGIS Pro product page on the Esri website. Once you have filled in all the details of this form, you will be sent an email that looks like this, which contains links to activate the trial and download Pro, but also a link to a wide range of learning resources and lessons around ArcGIS Pro. Now that Pro is downloaded, I will show you how to get started, and we will start by adding data to a new ArcGIS Pro project. So this is the Oil and Gas Authority's Open Data Site, which contains freely available data to be used within GIS. So the data has been grouped into categories such as licenses, geoscience, infrastructure, or we can search for specific data sets. So I'm going to search for offshore fields. And this will return all the data sets relating to my search. This first data set here is exactly what I want, some offshore fields. And by clicking on this, I am taken to a new browser where it allows me to visualize the data on a map and get some more information on the data set. Once I'm happy that this is the data set I want to use, I click on I want to use this and open in ArcGIS Online. Once opened in ArcGIS Online, I can then open it in ArcGIS Pro by clicking on the download link. So my offshore field dataset has now opened in Pro, and by expanding on the layer in the contents page on the left, I can see the legend associated with my layer. So the fields layer is in the WGS 1984 projection, so it has caused our base map to skew. However, we can fix this by right-clicking on the map and properties, coordinate systems. I can change the coordinate system to this WGS 1984 Web Mercator auxiliary sphere. And by applying that, it has fixed the projection issues that we had, and now the base map and the data are in the same projection. Once we have our project, we now want to add data to this existing project, and there are several different ways to do this. To add data from the Oil and Gas Authority Data Hub to this existing project, there are two different approaches we can take. The first is to use the ArcGIS portal within our catalogue on the right-hand side here. This is linked to our ArcGIS Online account, so we can add data from our own content, from our organisational content, or here from ArcGIS Online. So first we need to find some data in the Oil and Gas Authority Open Data Site. So we can go back to the home page, and I'm going to search for data via some categories this time. I'm going to search for some license blocks where we can explore and extract petroleum from. So this first data set here looks like it has license block data set. Again, I will just check that that is correct by visualizing on a map, and I will then open this up in ArcGIS Online. Now that I know that this dataset is available directly within ArcGIS Online, I can copy the layer name and search for it within Pro within the ArcGIS Online portal. It has returned all the search results, and here I can see the layer that I need. I want to use the feature layer rather than the image layer, as the feature layer will allow me to do some additional processing later on. Drag and drop this onto the map, and our license block dataset has now been added. The second way to add data from the Oil and Gas Authority Data Hub is to use the URL path of the layer. So again, we need to find some data. This time I'm going to search for some infrastructure data using the infrastructure categories. I'm going to use this surface points layer and open this up in ArcGIS Online. This time I can see that this surface points layer is part of a wider feature service, which contains many different layers, such as subsea points, pipeline-free spans. And if I wanted to add all of this data, this feature service, to the map, I could use this URL here. But if I just wanted the surface points data, I could click on the surface points layer and copy this URL here. So I'm going to copy that, open up Pro, and within this top ribbon here, I'm going to add data from a path. Paste in that URL we just copied and add it to the map. And this has now added those surface points data to my map, and I can see that in my catalogue, my contents pane on the left here. So the next way to add data, I've shown you how to add data from the Oil and Gas Authority Open Data Site, but we can also use what's called the Living Atlas. And the Living Atlas is Esri's store of freely available data. And there are many different data sets within the Living Atlas that would be beneficial to oil and gas. So we can access the living data again from our portal in the catalogue, and it's this end button here. So I will just highlight some of the key data sets. We've got data sets such as seafloor bathymetry, salinity, seabed lithology, and to get some more information on each of these layers, we can click on it and view the path. This will open up the data in ArcGIS Online, where it provides a much more in-depth overview of the layer. Another layer that is available in the Living Atlas is marine conservation zones, which has been provided by Natural England. And to add datasets from the Living Atlas onto the map, again, we just need to drag and drop from the Living Atlas onto our map. So that's the Living Atlas. The final way to add data to ArcGIS Pro is to use existing data that is stored within your files. To do this, again, we click on Add Data in the top, add data to the map, and navigate to where that shapefile or dataset is stored. This is a pipeline shapefile that I have stored in my files. I'm going to add this, and we can already see that has drawn on the map. We can rename our layers, so this is a pipelines layer, however this layer name does not indicate that very well. So by right-clicking and Properties, I'm going to rename this to Pipelines. So now we have added all our data and we're happy with the data that we have on our map, we can change some symbology options. So the first layer that I will change the symbology of is the license blocks. By right-clicking on Symbology, I'm presented with the Symbology pane here on the right. To change the symbology, I need to click on the symbol. I'm first presented with a gallery which has different options of symbology for me, already pre-conditioned, such as dashed outlines, hatches, cross hatches, gradients, vertical lines, and I can apply any of these to my license block layer. Or I could set the symbology on my own by clicking the Properties. I'm going to change it from a yellow polygon to just a plain outline. So I will choose no colour to fill, increase the outline width, and then apply that symbology. The next layer that I want to edit the symbology is the pipelines layer. At the moment, each line just represents the location of each of the pipelines. However, I can change this so that it displays the fluid type. So by changing the primary symbology from single symbol to unique values, I can set the field I want to display. So in this case, I'm going to use the fluid field, and we can see that each line now represents the fluid type that it carries. I'm going to change the colour scheme to something that is a bit more vibrant. Or if I wanted to, I could go into each individual fluid type and change it individually. So change this from purple to red, making sure I apply each of my changes. The final symbology change I will make is to the surface points layer. Similar to the pipelines layer, I could change the field that is currently being displayed. So at the moment it is the type of infrastructure. I could change this to the reporting group name or the status. However, I will keep it as type of infrastructure for now. Again, I can click on each of the different symbols and format these. So if I click on platform and gallery, I'm presented with different symbology options. So there are different shapes, such as crosses, we've got symbols, pinpoints, and we can scroll down to arrows and crosses and different symbols this way. So I would use a triangle, and then within the properties, change the colour and the size, and again apply those changes. I could do that with each different type of infrastructure. However, this kind of gets across the idea of how we can change the symbology of our points. We might also want to filter down our data to get a more refined view. For example, we might not want to view all of these surface points, we might just want to view platforms and buoys. And we can do this by select by attributes. By clicking on this tool, we can make sure we've got the right layer, and we're going to create an expression. So I'm going to choose the type of infrastructure, and I know I want buoys, or I want the type of infrastructure to be platforms. I can apply this and press OK, and now any of the points which fit my expression are highlighted in blue. If I wanted to create a new layer from this selection, I can. So I can right click, selection, make layer from selected features. And if I turn off my old surface points layer, the new layer just has buoys and platforms showing on the map. Once I've changed my symbology, I'm happy with all the data and how it looks, I can now export this map from Pro as a web map into ArcGIS Online. But before I can do that, I need to make some options available by right-clicking on the map and properties. General, I need to allow assignment of unique numeric IDs for sharing web layers. Now that I've done that, I can click on Share at the top and have different options. I could print this map, I could export it as a JPEG file to my disk. However, I'm going to choose Web Map, so I'm going to create a new web map from this and store it in ArcGIS Online. First of all, I need to fill out these details. And then share my map, publishing it as a web map. My web map has now published successfully, so if I go to my ArcGIS Online content and view where I saved my map to, I can now open up my map that I made in Pro as either a web map within ArcGIS Online, or I can create an application by clicking on Create Web App and then Web App Builder. I'm now going to create a simple web application where my map can then be pushed out to my colleagues or to the public if I wish. So I've got a few options to configure for sources, changing the symbology, and then pushing that map out into a simple web application. So in this video we have covered how to get started with ArcGIS Pro, including adding data from various sources, changing the symbology, and then sharing this map out as a web map or app. For more information, there are lots of learning resources and documentation on ArcGIS Pro, or you can speak to your account manager for more information.